if you're single with no children, estate planning may be more important for you than you think. If you're a single professional just starting out in your career, estate planning is probably the last thing that you have on your mind. Most people assume estate planning is something you do once you're older, once you're married, once you have kids. But here's something most young professionals don't realize. If something happens to you without a plan in place, Texas law decides who inherits everything you own. And depending on your situation, that could mean parents, siblings, or distant relatives, even if that's not who you would have chosen. Today, we're going to talk about why estate planning actually begins much earlier in life than most people think. Why estate planning starts earlier. When people start their careers, they begin accumulating assets. These can include retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, vehicles, savings, sometimes real estate. Sometimes you have equity compensation and stock options. Now, another thing that's important is sometimes you have personal items and personal effects that have great meaning to you, maybe to your siblings, maybe to one of your best friends. Those are things you want to consider as well. Because even if somebody doesn't consider themselves wealthy, they may still have significant financial assets that can create a lot of problems. Without planning, Texas intestacy law determines who inherits your assets. So if you don't make a plan, the government already has one for you. You don't want that plan, believe me. So the default rules for a single person who dies without a will in Texas, the assets typically will pass to your parents. Now, if your parents are deceased, then it goes out to your siblings. If you don't have siblings, then it goes out to extended relatives. This may align with someone's wishes, but it might not. For example, someone may prefer for things to go to a specific sibling, for specific nieces and nephews, a charitable organization, or a partner who you're not legally married to. Without planning, those wishes might not be honored. Now, more importantly is incapacity planning. As a young person, you're more likely to become incapacitated due to an accident or an illness that may not kill you, but it may put you in a situation where you can't make decisions, at least for a time. So if someone is injured or incapacitated and somebody needs to have the authority to manage things, such as your bank accounts, you're paying your bills, any leases or mortgage payments, make sure your insurance is maintained, who's going to make healthcare decisions for you. So some of the documents that can address those things include a durable power of attorney, a medical power of attorney, a directive to physicians, and a HIPAA authorization. All of those things are really important to have in place to protect you if you're incapacitated, if you are in a situation where you cannot make decisions for yourself. Now, who you have in those roles could be your parents, could be siblings, or could be your best friend or an unmarried partner. You want to make sure that you've got those things covered so that people aren't guessing. They don't leave you hanging with nobody to make decisions. Let's move along to beneficiary designations. Oftentimes in this time of your life, you're going to have accounts such as 401ks, IRAs, life insurance. A lot of these happen through work. So you want to have beneficiary designations. Those designations are the instructions you give to the different companies as to who will receive the assets and in what proportion when you pass away. These documents override whatever your will may say. So you want to make sure you keep these beneficiary designations updated because they are extremely important. Real world scenario. Okay, let me give you an example. I've seen situations where young professionals have an older beneficiary designation naming their ex-partner. So that may not always be what you want because they pass away unexpectedly. Then that account goes to that former partner because even though they were never married, they were never divorced either. So that beneficiary still gets that asset. Another problem can be when they appoint their parent. And if that parent has predeceased, that throws this into intestacy. And if you don't have a will either, then that throws another layer of problems and concerns. So the key takeaway that you want to keep in mind is, even as a young professional, estate planning is not just about how much wealth you have. Especially in this time of your life, estate planning is about clarity and control. You want to be clear on what you have and who you want it to go to. And you want to establish the right methods to provide control as to who is going to be able to receive those assets. So a simple plan ensures that the right people are there to make your decisions to help you, and that the assets go where you've intended, and that families can avoid unnecessary court proceedings. Now, if this information has been useful, I'd ask that you follow and like and subscribe to our podcast, so that way you don't miss any future episodes with other useful information like this. And if you'll comment on our podcast, it helps for the algorithm to get the information out to other people who may be in similar situations as you might be. And so if you learn it, and if you'd like to learn about how families can structure their estate plan to avoid probate, protect their assets, I covered those strategies in one of my webinars, Bulletproof Your Legacy. You can reach out to that. I will put the link in the description below. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.